Today is National Trails Day, and according to Texas Parks and Wildlife, it's the country's largest celebration of, you guessed it, trails. As East Texas News Weekend's Avery Gorman reports, the city of Nacogdoches celebrated with a hike through history.
This is the second year that Nac Historic Sites has hosted the Hike Through History event on National Trails Day. This guided tour takes people through the downtown area and teaches them a little bit about the history of the oldest town in Texas. Veronica Amo, Nac Historic Sites manager, says this year looked a little different.
Normally we do try to incorporate the trails, but of course the portion that we would have taken was damaged in the floods, but that's a great example of the importance of preserving the trails here in Nacogdoches and all over the nation.
A few dozen people gathered at the visitor center for the slow-paced 1.5-mile hike around the area. Jeff Apt regularly gives tours of the area, and he volunteered his time today.
They heard about people that fought in the Alamo. They heard about educators and poets. We got to see a wonderful historic Zion Hill Baptist Church.
Participants Jean and Debbie Harrison have been in Nacogdoches for about 5 years now. They enjoyed learning more about the houses on Mound Street.
We go up and down Mound Street a lot because we like the houses, and we knew about the mound from a neighbor, but he gave us more background on the architect and the style of houses.
I like the way the stories he tells kind of brings these people to life.
Yes.
You know, it's not just facts, figures, dates. These were real people.
Avery Gorman, East Texas News Weekend.
Nac Historic Sites does these guided tours throughout the city twice a year.